Greetings, everybody. Welcome back to the FCS Prep Podcast, where you experience real change right now. I'm your host, Dr. Keith Fairclough, and guys, we are back. I'm not going to drag this one out. There's not going to be 10 different videos talking about the same thing. We're going to wrap up today about our stories. I'm going to tell you exactly what you need to do in order to identify your current story and then change it with your new story. Be the person that you want to be, the person you're destined to be, the person you're supposed to be. All right. But you already know what it is. Before we go any further, we got to do that housekeeping. Hit that subscribe button, that like button. Program your algorithm to send you notifications when these videos drop. I got a lot coming out. I think I said it in the last video. I have a whole bunch of skills with communication. Those are coming out. And when we have a whole bunch of skills for guys and relationships and how you can supercharge your relationship and get real change right now in your relationships. I'm going to drop something for women too. So y'all stay tuned. But you're not going to know if it drops if you don't hit the subscribe button, notification bell. You got to hit them. All right. Also, comment in the bottom. I'll interact with you. If you have questions or anything like that, consider it like a mini consultation, right? You have questions, go ahead and drop them in the chat below, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Without any further ado, let's hop into it. We're going to change our stories. We're going to change our lives. Today's the day you're going to change your story and change your life. How do we do that? The first thing you got to do is you got to identify the story that you've been telling yourself. Really, really important, right? You got to understand, what have I been saying about myself? What have I been saying about the world? What have I been saying about others? What is that story I keep telling myself? What are those words I keep using? What are those powerful emotional words I keep using? What are those things that keep me stuck? Whenever I hit this wall, right? What is the language I'm using to describe my story? Right? Because believe it or not, you're reinforcing your story all the time, every day, whether it's a good story and a positive story, whether it's a negative story, whether you think you're a loser or you think you're a champion, you're reinforcing your story every single day. And your circumstances actually don't matter when it comes to your story, because a loser and a champion can experience the same thing and they're going to look at it completely different based on their story, right? So to identify your story, identify, what am I saying about myself? What am I saying about others? What am I saying about the world? And whatever those domains are. Right? Are you saying, oh, I'm a loser, I'm nobody, I'm nothing, I always encounter this, I'm never going to get over this, I'm just not smart enough? Are those the words you're saying to yourself? Check in your I statements, right? Or if it's others in the world, check your you statements. Oh, those people, those black people, they always do this, and they're always into crime, and they're doing this. Those white people, they're always out to suppress people and colonize, or these people over here, like what are the stories you're talking about as far as others in the world? Your wife, your kids. Oh, my kids, they're in their terrible teens. They're always disrespectful. They're always this, they're always that, right? My wife, oh, here she goes again. She's gonna get on me about this and about that, and she didn't even say two words, but the story you're telling yourself, more often than not, the story you tell yourself, I think I said in the last video, that's actually what you bring to pass, right? If you have this negative view on the world, on others, on other people, you're going to exude that because you're going to be preparing yourself for that negative interaction. And so then what happens? Now when your wife, she had just a regular day, and she asks you one simple question, you already built up in your mind that she's a nag, that she's horrible, that she's annoying, that she doesn't love you, doesn't care about you. So you're going to react as if that is how she actually is. And then guess what she ends up doing? You get into a fight. Guess what you end up doing? Reinforcing your story. See? Told you. Knew it was going to get like that. So you got to identify those patterns. Identify how you interact with yourself, others, and the world. What are you saying? What are those I statements? What are those you statements? What is that theme that you see coming up over and over and over again? Identify that. It's going to be crucial because you can't change your story if you don't know your story. Something else you can start doing as far as starting to change that narrative is starting to speak language that is more positive. Speak language that reaffirms and reflects the story you want to come to pass. Instead of you saying, I'm a loser, and I can't do anything, say, you know what? I might be struggling, right now, but, I can overcome this. Oh man, maybe I need to study a little bit more. Oh man, maybe I need to communicate better with my wife. I had a bad day and I came at her the wrong way, and Yeah, I know. Yeah, no, black people. Yeah, there's some bad black people in the bunch. However, majority of them really aren't like that. Most of them aren't even running like that. And on top of that, the ones that are bad, they got stuff they're going through. You see how you start changing the story? The white people, they're not all oppressive. Matter of fact, I hang out with a lot of them, and they always help me out. Matter of fact, I wouldn't even be where I am if it wasn't for some of these white people. So, no, it's not all of them. They're not all oppressive and coming after me like that. There are a select few. There are some that do that, but not all of them. See what I'm saying? You start talking language that changes your story. You start finding the good around you. And what would help with that greatly is having a daily gratitude list. And I've talked about this in other videos, but having that daily gratitude list to change your language, change your perspective, change your perception. So you're actually finding the good instead of honing in only on the bad. Daily affirmations work well too. I'm great. I'm lovable. I'm a champion. I'm good. I'm a great husband. I'm a great wife. I'm a great, child. I'm a great whatever. Using those daily affirmations and programming your mind with that positivity is going to help you to start changing your story. The next part in changing your story is you got to find contradictory evidence. Kind of ties in what I was just saying. Find contradictory evidence to your current story and then find evidence to reinforce your new story. Instead of you saying, oh my gosh, I'm the worst person in the classroom, or I'm the, worst husband ever. And I'm not saying give yourself a pass on some of these things because, and we'll get to that in a second. Instead of you saying I'm the worst person in the classroom, you know what, I really don't give 100%. I don't study like I'm supposed to. Maybe that's why I'm not doing so well. See, I'm changing the story. If I started studying as much as I should or started waiting until the last minute, maybe my grades would be better. Maybe, I could do better. If I start putting in effort and I start changing the narrative, I start changing the story when I start talking like that, right? Instead of you saying, oh, I'm the worst husband ever, whatever, you know what? And again, this is what I'm saying. You don't have to give yourself a pass. You could say, you know what? I'm definitely not out here dogging my wife out and cheating on her and doing all this like that, But you know what? I don't do the best job of listening. Usually when she's talking, I kind of space out, I hop on my phone. So maybe, I'm not the worst guy ever, but at the same time, I could definitely use some improvement. Maybe I start working on some skills, right? That's how you start creating that new story. That's how you start finding that evidence to contradict your old story while it's reinforcing your new story. And this is so important because you're going to hear me say this over in this video time and time again. It's not the absence of behavior. You don't just stop talking negative. You don't just stop with the negative behavior. You must replace it with something. When you tell a kid stop running, you're actually not telling them what to do. You need to tell them, hey, I need you to walk. That's a replacement of the behavior. I was running before, now I'm walking. If you say just stop running, okay, what am I supposed to do with that? And that's actually why a lot of people end up going right back to the same behaviors they were doing before, because we told them to stop the old one, but we didn't tell them to replace it with something. So it's really important. Like this is all, you're gonna hear me say replace a lot, but you're replacing the old behavior and the old language with new behavior and new language that reinforces the new story that you want to build. All right. Now, speaking on behaviors, review your behaviors. What behaviors are you engaging in, that are causing you to reinforce your old story? Are you just sitting on the couch watching TV because you feel, oh my gosh, working out's just the worst thing in the world, and I tried it one time and it just never went well and I didn't lose all my weight in that one exercise? Like, is that the story? And so you're going to continue with the same behavior? No. Okay, I tried that, but maybe it didn't work. Maybe I had to try something different. The new version of yourself has to find something that works for it that's going to move you in that direction. So you're reviewing your behaviors, right? And I use that example of like losing weight, but there are other ones as well. Maybe you don't study like you're supposed to, right? Maybe you, every time it's time to study, you go and procrastinate. Look for those old behaviors. Like I said about the example with the husband and the wife, look at those old behaviors. Maybe the guy wasn't listening. He wasn't paying attention. That's an old behavior. Start reviewing those and start changing those, right? Again, you're replacing the old behaviors with new behaviors. People always say this is common, so common. And I'll be honest, and no offense to anybody that says this, but it does kind of irk me, a little bit. And I used to say this too. So, but when someone says, I'm not a morning person, what does that even mean? What gene is there that says this is a morning person, this is a night person, this is an afternoon person? There's no gene that says that. That is a belief. That's a story you're telling yourself. And I'm telling you that, yes, that's exactly what it is, because I used to say the same thing. Oh, man, I'm not a morning person. I can't really talk in the morning. Because my wife she would always wake up. She'd be so bubbly and excited and talk, and she would just talk. I'm like, bro, where are you getting all this energy from, right? Because I'm not a morning person. And here's the thing. When you tell yourself these stories, you program your mind and your body and your biology to not be a morning person or not be a champion or not be whatever it is you want to be. So once I stopped telling myself that story and just said, you know what? Okay, mornings are a little difficult, but why are they a little difficult? Oh, man, I don't go to bed on time. Maybe I'm trying to wake up, trying to do too much too soon. And so what I started doing is I started changing my behaviors, going to bed earlier and waking up just a little bit earlier every morning, right? As time went on. We used to wake up at 6. Then I started waking up at 5:30. I started waking up at 5:30, then I moved back to 5. Then I moved back from 5 to 4:30. Then 4:30 to 4. Then I went from 4 to 3:30. Then I said, that's a little too much. Then I moved it back up to 4. All right? But you got to check those behaviors. Review your behaviors. Again, in combination with your language as well, right? So review them. Look at them. What behaviors are part of your old story that you keep telling over and over again, that you keep doing over and over again and reliving the same day over and over and over again? Find those behaviors, replace those behaviors. It doesn't have to be a massive shift. You can, like I said, with me waking up earlier, just a little bit at a time. A little bit and a little bit and a little bit. And that little bit consistently over time is going to be a drastic change. So find those behaviors, review those, and start changing them, replacing them, right? And again, it doesn't have to be a whole bunch at the same time. It can be a little bit at a time, all right? Now, sensory input, right? So all your senses, right? Touch, taste, hearing, smelling, what was the other one? Sight, right? So you need to check your sensory input because, again, your brain is constantly looking for ways to reinforce whatever story it's been told, right? So if your story of you being a victim, your brain's going to search out for information. You can find the most positive source, video, book, whatever, and I promise you, your brain is going to find some way to make it negative, some way to make you a victim. Oh, well, that works for everybody else, but it doesn't work for me. Or, if you heard this one, you just don't know what I've been through. And people try to explain it to you. No, you don't understand. I'm different. Ecclesiastes in the Bible says there ain't nothing new under the sun. The same thing that happens today is the same thing that happened yesterday, and the same thing that happened yesterday is the same thing that's going to happen in the future. There is nothing new under the sun. There's no issue, no problem, nothing you're experiencing right now that hasn't been experienced on this planet already. So let that sit in your spirit a little bit and let you know that whatever you're going through, there is a solution for it. But check your sensory inputs, right? What are you reading? What are you watching? What are you playing? What are you listening to? Who are you around? Look at those things. Are those things reinforcing your own story? And I talked about algorithms and stuff like that in the beginning of the thing, but they have demographic algorithms designed for your age group and whatnot. How do I know? Because before I started really changing my algorithm and really being really focused on changing my algorithm on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube, my demographic, I guess I'm a little older demographic now because I'm 40, but my demographic, what would I get when I was younger? Booty shaking videos, girls twerking, this, that, sex workers, da-da-da-da-da. Because they're targeting my demographic. So someone who's struggling with pornography or trying to stay away from it, it's real easy to draw you back in because of your sensory inputs, right? Because you might think, oh, it's not pornography. It's just a girl doing this, doing that. But then guess what happens? You watch one video, then you watch another video, and then she's wearing less and less. And then before it's all said and done, you say, you know what? Shoot, I might as well just look at pornography and let's take it all the way. I'm already right there. Check your sensory inputs. got to be very, very careful. Check your sensory inputs. Are they reinforcing your old story? If they are, you need to change them again. Replace them. Find things that are going to fill you. So now I told you how I changed my algorithms. This whole channel right here that I'm on, if you ever to go look at my previous playlists and stuff like that, you're going to see motivation. You're going to see information. You're going to see business stuff. You're going to see stuff about money. You're going to see stuff about health. You're going to see all this good stuff. I changed the algorithm. Change the algorithm within yourself. Get yourself a new story. So now guess what I don't get on this channel when I'm looking up stuff? I don't get none of those videos. I don't get nothing that's nasty. I don't get nothing that doesn't build me up and fill me up. You can actually change the algorithm internally so that you're always putting yourself in situations. You're always reaching out. You're always seeing. You're always doing things that are bringing good into your life, that are reinforcing your new story. I don't have anything in my life right now, not that I'm aware of, that's reinforcing my old story of being a victim, of not being loved, of not being worthy. Right? I don't have those things. Why? Because I changed out the inputs. Really, really important. Change out your inputs. Last thing, focus on creating your new story. Now, I know you might think, well, Keith, isn't that what we've been doing this whole time? Yes and no, right? Yes and no, right? What I'm saying is, and maybe this should have been at the front, I don't know. But in any case, you need to create the version of yourself you want to be. What does the ultimate version of yourself look like? What do they sound like? How do they think? What's their body like? I think I've said it in previous podcasts. If I haven't, I'll tell you now. I used to sit and meditate. I'm going to talk about some of the tangible things you can do in order to start creating that version of yourself. But I remember I used to sit and meditate. I used to think about, man, what does the ultimate version of myself look like? So I got something in my eye. What does the ultimate version of myself look like? He looks like, and this might sound a little strange, but he looks like a Aztec king. I don't know what the headdress, and I'm like 6 feet tall or something. Maybe a little bit taller than that. Maybe like 6'1", 6'2", just ripped, in like loincloth type thing, and I stood up and there was a presence. Now, granted, no, I'm not going to do any bone extension, surgeries or anything like that. I'm fearfully, wonderfully made and 10% happy the way God designed me and made me at 5'8", not 9, 5'8", and all that comes with it. I'm so happy for God the way he made me. What that image of myself represented was presence, power, authority, strength, discipline, consistency. That's a story that I want to tell myself. So I'm thinking, what does that guy think like? What is that version of myself? What does he think like? What does he do? How does he eat? How does he respond and work with others? How does he work with his body? What's his diet like? How does he move? How is he athletic? Like, I'm thinking about all these things because I'm creating that version of myself day in and day out. I am creating my new story. The person I am is not who I used to be, and I'm not going to stop until I am that version of myself. And then once I get to that version of myself, I'm going to be thinking about, okay, what's the next version of myself look like that's even better, right? Because our stories can always improve and get better. We should never stagnate. So what can we do to start creating that story? For one, sit down and think about that, right? What is the highest version of yourself look like? What do they do on a daily basis? What do they eat? What do they drink? What do they drive? What's their job? How do they feel on a regular basis? What's their purpose? Like, what does this version of yourself do? How do they interact with their kids or their wife or their husband or their friends or their community on the job? How do they interact with someone who's belligerent? Like, what do they do? It's everything about you, right? That's what you need to do. Think about everything that could possibly be about this version of yourself. Write it down. Think about that. Meditate on that. There's so many things you could do to start putting this into your mind. You can meditate. Like I was saying, I would sit there, I would do guided meditation, and I would listen for like 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and I would go through this thing day in, day out, looking at this version of myself, Sit down and write it out. You could do that, journaling. This is what the version of myself would do. Use that template and say, what would this version of myself do in this situation? How would they handle this situation? How would they handle intimacy? How would they handle money? How would they handle someone who isn't like them? How would they handle someone who rejects them? How would they handle that, right? Write that stuff out. Write it on a daily basis. Daily affirmations. Set up your affirmations to create that version of yourself. We already talked about the having daily gratitude, thinking positively, right? Why is that important? Because you got to find the good stuff in order to change your story and input it into your story, because the version of yourself, the highest version, is always pulling in that good stuff. Right? Treating others how you want to be treated, right? Having, basically making sure that or a better way to say it is definitely treat others how you want to be treated, but watching the company you keep. Are you around people who are always negative and have bad stories? Or are you around people who are always positive, having good stories? Watch the company you keep, right? Make sure you're engaging in physical activity, working out. A strong body makes a strong mind, makes a strong spirit. Very, very important. Make sure you have an open and wise mind. And this is why I say open and wise mind, right? Because there's a lot of bad information out there. So I don't just want you to be open to everything and end up, doing yoga in a tree or something like that, calling on whatever it is to come inside. No. Make sure it's an open and wise mind, which means your mind is open to different experiences and different perspectives. However, you're checking that against what your foundation is and what you know to be true. Because again, I read a lot of books. That's another thing too, as far as like reading books and making sure all that, cover that in the sensory input. But I read a lot of books and there's a lot of great information in there, but there's some stuff that does not align with my world values and my world belief at all. All right. Well, I won't go into all that, but long story short, you get what I'm saying. So have an open mind, but have a wise mind. Again, guys, subliminal stuff, right? Record something or have something, pre-made. I have affirmation things. I do have affirmation things on my FCS Relax channel. So if you want to go there and get that in, and I can put more there as well. But subliminal programming, putting things on while you're sleeping, having them play in your ear, in your subconscious, the programming behind what you see and how we operate right now. Have that playing so they can start reprogramming your mind with the stuff you want. Maybe you have it reprogrammed with your affirmations. Maybe record your affirmations and have that bad boy on replay over and over and over again. Input it. Guys, you get it what I'm saying, right? I'm wrapping it up here. This is how you identify and change your story. You don't have to stay the same way. You can get change right now. You can get real change right now. But you got to do the work. You got to do the work. Because it's not going to happen overnight, and it's not going to happen, just because. But when you start doing the work, when you start being a little bit more, focused and intentional with how you move and how you think and how you talk and how you act, and you start picking up on bad behaviors and bad talk and bad thoughts, you can start replacing those with good behaviors, good talk, good thoughts. You start replacing it like that, you're going to start seeing that change. And before you know it, you're going to be a brand new person. People are going to be like, what happened to you? What happened? You never were like this. You switched up on us. And you're going to say, yeah, I did. As a matter of fact, whoever you knew before doesn't even exist anymore. That version of myself is gone, long gone. And he and she are never coming back. All right. So I told you guys I was going to give it to you all today. That's it. That's all I got for you. Guys, use this. Change your story. Identify and change your story. You do not have to stay the same. You are not a victim, right? You have power. You have the power to change your life right now. But you got to make a decision to do so. And it doesn't have to be all at the same time, but I'm telling you, what is the old proverb like? The longest journey starts with one step. How do you eat an elephant one bite at a time? Don't let yourself become overwhelmed, right? Piece it out a little bit at a time. As you do all this work, piece it out a little bit at a time and just start building those habits over time. And before it's all said and done, you're a brand new person. All right. If y'all need any help, if you need anything at all, please reach out. Let me know. All my information is down at the bottom. Listen, I'm not hard to find. I'm a Google search away. But I love you guys. Y'all take care. Have a great, awesome, and blessed day. Put these things into practice so you can experience real change right now. This is Dr. Keith signing off, and I'll see y'all later.